All right, let's jump straight into it. Now, if you look at the publicity surrounding the extraterrestrial phenomenon in the press, on TV, in Hollywood, you will find in particular malevolent portraits, or they're attempting to portray it as something negative, and that's all for a reason. I don't think that this is coincidental. The U.S. military may go so far as to stage UFO activity and then ask Congress to appropriate more weapons. The military survives by contracting to build more weapons, so the government must maintain a wartime economy at all costs. But regardless, there is going to be a mass return of the true extraterrestrial confederation. And what we're going to be diving into this recording, or this video recording, we're going to be getting into a little bit of the whole fake alien invasion that they're about to come out with, which leads up to the whole fake rapture. So we're going to be dealing with this whole fake alien invasion a little bit that which some of you have probably already heard about, as far as what they call Project Blue Beam and other things of that nature. To wherein Project Blue Beam is just whereas they use ionized particles brought on by machine projecting the images, or in other techniques like created by aircraft dropping fine particles and chemicals in the atmosphere, which is like what they've been doing with the chemtrailing the people this whole time, in which serve as reflectors for these projections. But hologram techniques are for just projecting lights into a central point through laser type mechanisms from different sources placed apart from each other with the focal points in the heavens. So that's why a lot of stuff that people are gonna be saying when they're gonna say, oh, it's an alien invasion, or I'm gonna clear this up, because on one half you're gonna just be seeing these projected holograms and these projected images, to wherein they're just gonna be driving that particular scenario down one particular direction to keep you distracted from what's about to really get ready to happen and go on. And then on the other side, there is going to be see, they have their own back engineered and reverse engineered down craft, and from pieces of tech that was just given to them, what they've been behind the scenes and in these underground laboratories working on for some years now. Well, really since, let's just say, because I think it was Eisenhower. Yeah, Eisenhower met with let's just say a negative faction of the group of what's being called the Greys, which is, there are many more names for them. As just more Western Hemisphere name for them over here. The Greys, Crater Mutuai calls them the Mantadina. Robert Morningsky, he calls them the Shetu. So there's many other different names for them, but honestly, they get all of what you are ascribing to them, as far as like them getting this technology from. You was like probably thinking, oh, they came up with this in a laboratory. Oh, they've been like creating this in the laboratory as scientists, just with their breakthrough this whole time. No, they actually exchanged this. They got technology from, like I said, the Greys, in exchange for them like taking and abducting certain amounts of people, and actually cattle and some animals as well. But for the most part of it, it was just people. And then later on, after they made the deal with them, this was back in February of 1954 when this all occurred. So when they made the deal with them, like a number of years later, like the U.S. government came to find out that after they made the deal with them, they didn't return. Like, they started finding out that the people weren't returning, that they weren't returning the people. And so they knew then that they had pretty much They had them fucked up, so to say. So since then, they have just been proliferating just more lies and more lies and more lies and more lies. And let me read a piece of that if I have it pulled up here so you can understand where I'm coming from with that. Like I say, it happened back in February of 1954. So they've been having this tech since then. They just been back engineering and working on all that they can behind the scenes in these underground laboratories and other facilities worldwide and other places which you're not gonna get too close to unless it's just because it's military. Is military installed as well. I might have to go pull it back up. So this eight. So let me see. Hold on. I might have to pull it back up out of my Hold on, I gotta go to my what's the name real quick to pull it up. But yes, this is where they're actually getting all this technology from. And before I pull this up, let me just state this. Now I understand. I understand the benefits and the uses and the positive aspects of what people now are calling artificial intelligence and AI. Okay, I understand all of the positive let's just say beneficial uses. It can be used as a tool for this, for that, etc., etc., etc. This and that, in whatever area of your life you feel that you can use AI, artificial intelligence. Okay, good, great, amazing, marvelous. Okay, but I don't, for some reason, I don't think our people actually process certain things. Like say for instance, okay, so where did this AI come from? And yes, you could say, hey, well, yeah, this is just part of them, the tech that was just given to them by the grave. I mean, you could say that as well, but let's just clarify some things before I actually go into this little piece dealing with the grave. So, or with them, the deal that they made with the grave, that's what I'm attempting to clarify here. So I'm saying this to say dealing with the fake alien invasion because they're gonna make it seem like since Nibiru and the real and true return of the extraterrestrial interdimensional extraterrestrial galactic space confederation, since they're about to get ready to return, they're already here. They're just in different strategic locations. Some of them are located within inner Earth, and some of the inner Earth cities and kingdoms that's within Earth, and the other ones are just in strategic locations to where you can't get to them at all. Because they do have this advanced technology, so they can be around like all day and night through the whole week, and you won't even know they're around because they're just staying invisible because they have that technology to do so. So a lot of them are already here right now and have been observing, and by them I mean that they're just your star ancestors. Some of them are your star ancestors, star family, star friends from other different, let's just say, dimensions, planes, or planets, or worlds, or realms that's outside of the world, realm, plane, planet that you are on, or within, or located in, or within at this time. So a lot of them that's returning back right now are your star ancestors, star family, star friends, star relatives who you just hadn't seen, who you just hadn't pretty much, I'll just say, seen or heard from, unless you've just been doing some type of spiritual work to make that connection back with them. You probably hadn't seen them in since lifetimes ago or your past lifetime, however you want to say that. Or if you have been doing the work, then you have been experienced, or if you are a contactee however you want to say that, but they're gonna make it seem like it's gonna be a alien invasion because they know this was around the time that your star ancestors or even you returning back as well. They know this is gonna be the perfect time to come out with not only the AI, but we're gonna come and hit them with this whole fake alien invasion, which was to put the public and the masses into thinking that, oh, this is the rapture is finally happened. But you have to understand how they know how to drive the narrative just so they can keep you moving in one direction, just so you won't see what's going on in the other directions, or you won't be led to down a path that's for you and that's meant for you. Many paths. So so they're going to come out with this whole fake alien invasion to because they know the masses of some of the masses and some of the people, the masses of the public are going to buy into it anyway because you've been going along with it up until this point. So why not continuously going along with it? And so they're gonna hit you with that because they know you've been buying. Like I starting off. You know how I say how within how like if you look at the publicity surrounding the extraterrestrial phenomena in press on TV and in Hollywood, you will find a particularly malevolent or negative portrait or picture that's been painted, and that's for a reason because they were gearing you up for their fake alien invasion. Because like I say, your star ancestors and people that are returning and coming back now during that are returning and are already here, which they're about to get ready to make themselves known if you haven't already been contacted in some aspect or some way. Me personally, I have. That's for another time, another sharing. But also I'm saying this to say that they've been painting this negative portrait or picture of the Anunnaki or Nibiru, and they've been painting this negative portrait and making it seem bad. So, and like they just traded you to slave as a race when half of the melanated brothers and sisters who probably even been checking out some of those videos that's uploaded on YouTube to where they're attempting to talk about the Anunnaki or and they're in a holistic perspective. Like half of you that been the melanated brothers and sisters that been checking out those videos, half of you are not just the descendants, but the ascendants of what you would call the Anunnaki. And what I mean by that is you are like half of you probably just been going along with the negative picture that they've been painting of it, to wherein like it's a number of videos on YouTube that just been like negatively just describing it and just going at it. When half of you, that's half of the, like I say, people like our melanated brothers and sisters that are attempting to get some type of understanding and remember and wake up and recall to what it really is. Like you are over from that, so they have to like make it seem like it's negative all that it can to keep you away from it. So when they do show up or contact you, you'll be scared and in fear because you've already been given the rundown of the story behind them instead of going within yourself and reconnecting back with them on a more positive and spiritual aspect. And so I'm saying all this to say because isn't it kind of funny that how you got all of these people talking about it in a negative aspect, but yet look who you get it from. And some of these are just half of these videos on YouTube that's talking about it. These are disinformation channels, misinformation videos just to confuse you. Half of the people on just trying to make money off you because they know you just gonna click on the video based off of what the title is, or based off of if you already been following them or something, then they know you just gonna click on the video anyway, just based off what the title is. And I'm saying now too, Because like I've been in this for a minute, doing this spiritual work for a minute, well over 10 years now in this. And what I've come to find out and see is that a lot of people that just started, let's just say, I just say simply like a lot of people that just started, let's just say, attempting to make themselves known as far as talking about some spiritual or some country spiritually that's quote unquote helping you or assisting you in your awakening. A lot of these people just started coming out within the past, let's just say 4.5, 5 years. And I'll say that because it was a surge of people coming out, started talking about shit around when they hit people with the whole COVID-19. That's when a lot of people, a lot of you started coming out. A lot of new people started coming out, just speaking on some shit, just confusing more and more people, even more. And you haven't really like done like enough like studying and actual research on your own as far as like knowing thyself, so you can be able to come back before the people and actually present something to them as far as like teaching. Because I'm saying that for a reason. I'm not saying that to say to discourage anyone or stop anyone from what they're doing or take anything from anyone that's their spiritual work or the work that you have been doing or that you will do or that you continuously are doing. That's not what I'm saying with this. What I'm saying is I'm seeing there's more people now on here just saying some shit, just making it seem like they know what they're talking about. But in actuality, you're just regurgitating and just repeating the same shit that people before you was already saying, like 10, 15 years before you. Like, like a lot of you have heard, like a lot of our, like, people as far as, like, dealing with the metaphysical, the spiritual, the conscious aspects, the occult, esoteric, whatever it is. Like, we got people going back to, like, the early 90s and the early 2000s speaking on a lot of this shit. So a lot of you are just regurgitating and just repeating and copying what they're saying, because you know that if you just put the title in the video, especially if you already have a certain amount of following, you know the people gonna click on the video anyways. And then when I click on the video, and as I'm listening to what you're saying, you ain't saying shit. You ain't teaching shit. And I'm not saying it to be negative or to hurt anyone, but I'm saying that to say you were regurgitating saying the same old shit that everybody else is saying. And a lot of people are trying to be funny and trying to mock me and shit too, which is kind of funny, because for me it's all about knowledge of self, and I can tell just by you doing that you haven't even reached the point of knowledge of self. Like, and start with this whole fucking you coming together, building in unity. Like, just fucking stop it. Like, just stop it. That shit is a joke, because maybe after all of this go down and the cleaning up is done, and yeah, maybe, but all right, come on, let's be real. Like, half of you don't even want to be around like your intermediate family that you be around almost every day. So how the fuck you gonna come together and hold hands with somebody who you feel like they're talking about something conscious or spiritual? Well, you won't even do that with your intermediate family that you be around. So it's a fucking farce. That's a joke. And I'm saying that to say because half of the people that's coming out saying some shit like that now, like, they ain't gonna do none of that. They ain't gonna do that shit. And the only way they will do that, as far as like, if you would say out of like love or out of like, because it won't be from like, and if it is, then that was just the way, their spirit got them to go. Got the direction they wanted them to take. But half of the people are just gonna come out and just fake you, man. Just fake you. Like, just fake you. And I ain't really saying shit. Like, you ain't really saying shit. The same old shit over and over. That's why people haven't really, like, progressed any further. So where you just seeing people just, so let's just say if I upload something, and I understand about how like the whole morphogenetic waves feel, and I understand how all of that works, and I understand how the quantum works too, to when how people are entangled, not just love, but how species and a race of people can be quantum entangled, to where they've done experiments on this and they've proven this over and over and over again, to where like if something happens to one person or one animal or something, if they're connected in some form of way, if something happens to this one person or one thing, then the other person or animal or whatever it may be, that they're experiment on to prove that as far as like quantum wise, then the other person or animal would feel the exact same thing. Like say for instance, okay, so they did an experiment with a mother rabbit and her baby rabbit. So, and this is dealing within the quantum realm, the science and the metaphysics of quantum, dealing with the quantum. So which you would be a quanta being, a multi-dimensional quanta being. So they did an experiment where they took a mother rabbit and her child, and they separated them over great distances, or they separated them over a great distance. And what they did was they pricked the baby rabbit, or they stuck the baby rabbit with a needle or whatever they stuck it with. They pricked it with something, and instantaneously, not instantaneously, when it was just like within a blink of an eye, but within like a few seconds, instantaneously, the mother rabbit felt that the baby rabbit had been pricked or stuck with a needle. So in essence, I understand this whole like how people can you know, if I upload something, then somebody else, if I upload a video, if I'm presenting something, a breakthrough or something, and how I present it, and then somebody else, they upload a video detailing and they're discussing and going over the same thing, presenting the same thing within their video, and they haven't like checked none of my stuff out or heard from me at all, then that's what you would call that. That's what you would call a quantum effect. And so they've proven this time and time after again that this is just all of this is real, even in love. So when you're in love with somebody, or you love with somebody and you're significant other, you do become what they call quantum entangled with them. So that means that it's how deep you are in connection with them, with it, or how entangled you are with them. Say for instance, you could like you've heard this before, like you felt like I felt like you was out there doing this, or I felt like you was doing it. Well, it's the same thing, and you wasn't around them, or they hadn't called you or anything, but you felt it, and you knew that that's what they were doing. And come to find out later on, that's exactly what they was doing. So that's what they're calling now. That's part of the whole quantum. That's part of the whole quantum metaphysics, dealing with the spiritual mechanics, and the metaphysics dealing with the quantum, which is the quantum is just a more scientific name for the spiritual. Instead of you just saying spiritual, that's saying the quantum, which gives it. I guess you could say it gives it a more. It gives it a more edgy sound, I guess. But that's dealing with that. So where was I going with this? So they're gonna come out with this fake alien. So they've been painting this whole malevolent portrait or picture of that's why they only come every time they show you like an alien or extraterrestrial, they always show you what the grays look like, or excuse me, or how they show you in that interview. Ever seen that movie Paul before? The movie Paul, where they show what the gray looks like in that movie. That's why they always show you every time they talk about them, or even on the news, they'll come give you that that specific picture of them, because that's who they actually made a deal with back in 1953 in exchange for advance. The U.S. who was with them working at the time, they made a deal. It was Eisenhower and the people that was working under him and the people that was around him at the time, the military, etc., etc. They made a deal with the Greys, the Shitu, the Mantadina, and his other names for them as well. They made a deal with them, and in exchange for it, they made a deal with the Greys in exchange for an advanced technology. So they gave them advanced technology in exchange for certain locations around, what you want to say, around or across the world, and specifically over there on the West Coast in the Four Corners area, underground. So they built them underground facilities and certain underground bases, underground joint bases, to wherein both the U.S. and the Greys, who they made a deal with, can do business with each other and have been doing business with each other since. And that's where all of this technology and this advanced technology has been coming from. They just, like, once they do figure out how it works, they was taught how it worked, how it operated behind the scenes in these underground laboratories and facilities. What they do is they go out amongst and like these let's just say these top secret black market holdings, to wherein it be a lot of the top elite families and people that be buying like a lot of shit that even the government and the millionaires that got money and shit can't get their hands on. They have these top secret black market sales to wherein they sell this type of stuff behind the scenes to these elite families. So that's why you would have like, oh well, if they just made a deal with the Greys, then wouldn't that mean that the U.S. only would have their advanced tech? Then why China has advanced technology and Japan has advanced technology? That's because you have to understand that there are elite families all across this place. So they just disperse it amongst themselves. So to make it seem like their scientists have been coming up with this advanced technology behind the scenes in these laboratories, when in actuality they was given this advanced technology in exchange for abductions of humans or a number of people that have went missing since they initially made a deal with them, and they started abducting and kidnapping people and they never returned them. So this has been happening since they initially made the deal with them. Now, and also you'll come to find out too that what people are calling the Greys, now not all of the Greys are negative or malevolent. There are other what you would call other groups of the Greys what are positive, they're benevolent, they're assist you, they'll help you all that they can, because they're just not on that type of agenda. So don't twist my words, so don't confuse what I'm saying for it being all of them. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm specifically talking about the ones that made the deal or made this deal agreement with them, or this treaty. They made a treaty with them, which also became known as the Trilateral Treaty with them. They made this deal or this treaty with them starting back in 1953, February of 1953. So you'll if you haven't heard, or for the ones that you have heard, you probably heard about them, the Greys being working for the reptilians. Now, on that, let me clear up that as much as I can right now. Like I say, there's always what you want to say negative. Let's just say there's always family members who've always like doing positive, good shit, who you always looking up to, you know, They motivate you, inspire you to do greater things, etc., etc., etc. And then you always have those people within your family who you want to say they ain't never gonna be shit. They always doing some dirty shit. They always on some negative shit. They never attempting to do anything. You know, they talk about people behind their back, etc. However you want to say that. So you have that dichotomy of it being like positive or it being negative. And I'm not talking about in the aspect of it of what you know of as the law of polarity, or one of the seven laws, or one of the seven axioms of Tahuti, or one of the seven laws of the universe, or the law of polarity, or dualism. I'm not talking about it in that aspect. I'm talking about in the aspect of you would be, for those of you who know that they are, you know, the Anunnaki, etc., you would be the serious reptilians. And I'll just say it like this. There are Sirius reptilians, and then there are Orion reptilians. So I'll just say I would go over that, but what I'll do, I'll probably make a separate video and go into that completely if time permits me so, because we're already like almost about to be at the crossroads with this before all of this transform and happen. And don't get it twisted, because the battle, the great battle in the sky, the battle of all races, that's not only building up and happening now across the boards, across all floors, but it's gonna build up to a building point where it's just gonna break out and all happen. And that's the battle of all races and the battle of sky, and the battle of the sky, or the battle in the sky, like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad spoke of as dealing with the mother plane, or the mothership that would end this wicked world, or bring destruction in this wicked world before the start of a new world can begin, which would be you moving into the golden age, the era of light, the light era, or you moving into the age of Aquarius. Because that's why all of this, that's why you have there's so much let's just say dark things or dark shit that's just been going on, because you've been in the Kali Yuga, which is the dark age, and you're moving out of the Kali Yuga into what's known as the Satya Yuga, or a golden age. So, and you're at the ending of it, about to get ready to transition, moving on into what's called a golden age. So that's why you see it's a lot of upheavals dealing with the weather. It's a lot of more catastrophes, a lot of more destruction, a lot of more killings, murderings, kidnappings, or however you want to say that, because it's a build up to it. Now, if you were already within, let's just say, the golden age, the era of light, the Aquarius age, then none of this wouldn't be occurring. You wouldn't be trying to fill out a job, or application for your next job, trying to figure out how you're gonna get your next meal, trying to figure out how you're gonna pay your next car note, your next bill, or however you want to say that. If you were already within the golden age, or the age of Aquarius, and I'm not saying, and for those of you who are already there, spiritually, mentally, or mentally, spiritually, that's not what I'm talking about. And but I'm just talking about for this place as a whole. No, it hasn't reached that point. It's been a building up point to that. So I'll just say, to simplify, because like I said, I was going to probably do a whole totally different video on it to explain it. But let's just say billions, and let's just say over 24 billion years ago. Over 24 billion years ago, because even Dr. Deborah Blair, he goes into it within his book, within Dr. Deborah Blair goes into it within his book, The World Within. And he pretty much goes into this whole war that like some 24 billion not million with the M, the letter M, but with the letter B. 24 billion years ago, there was a galactic war in this particular galaxy. And the trilogy of Star Wars is based on that same thing with Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. That is supposedly is this 24 billion war is based on a set of Sumerian texts that is true, stating that from 24 billion years ago there was a war when a whole galactic army of people fought another galactic army of people. Now this whole galactic war that happened 24 billion years ago that he's describing, this actually happened between, I'll just say simply, this actually happened between people that from people of the Sirius Empire, people that was in the Sirius Empire within the Sirius star system at that time, and people that were from the star system Sirius and the Empire that had came when this solar system was newly formed, and they moved here to settle in here as colonies on these planets here in this solar system when it was after it had just formed. And after a whole coup d'etat had happened within the series, which had overthrew one of the original kings, and then something else like that happened again. So one of the kings, or one of the Syrian kings at that time, fled, and he actually fled and came to this particular solar system and on this planet, and that was initially. Hold on, let's go real quick. Yeah, I said damn, like.